That's right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Jacob's pitch, Spiral 2. Now, a link for that is going to be in the description section below, as well as pinned in the comment section if you haven't seen it. And it's going to be put in the dedicated folder for this year's SAW-Tober because it's a little bit different if you haven't already gotten the hint of that. So, with all of that being said, you can check out his video in the description section. So with that being said, Jacob, welcome back to the channel.
Thank you, Mark. It's good to keep going. We got plenty of pitches to go, and I'm looking forward to talking about this.
So I'm going off the idea right now that most people listening to this have gone and watched your pitch for Spiral 2, and I just really want to break something down. My very first question, and it's one of the things I really like about all of your pitches, but I feel like this one, probably more than any of them, really hammer home the fact that you're trying to create something with your pitches. It's not just pitching one project or another like everybody else this year. It's everything is kind of interconnected, and there's this somewhat of a universe of things happening where characters are living, breathing, and kind of experiencing their own realities. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. And I think that's the beauty about, anytime someone does any sort of fan fiction films, like something that a writer takes down or something that people may not take note of may mean a whole lot to somebody else when somebody watches it from different set of eyes or a different viewpoint. So that's kind of what I did with my pitches here, where if something like, a writer put down something and they may think, oh, it may not be a big deal, but that's something that I could take and I can apply it to a different story and make it bigger. Mm-hmm. Hence kind of what I'm doing with my other pitches, and heck, that's even what I'm doing with my show.
Yeah, of course. By the way, everyone, go check out the show. It's really good. And as we're jumping off that, like these characters that are living in the Saw universe, the idea of bringing not only Ezekiel Banks back, William Shank's character from Spiral, as this is a direct continuation from the events of Spiral, but also utilizing characters like Eleanor and Dr. Gordon and having them all interact and intertwined into one story. Like, what was the inspiration for that in your opinion? I mean, obviously you were leaving, at least the way you were describing it, you were leaving a lot of characters on the table.
Right. And to me, like, I would love the idea, just to answer every question you can, but I'm also kind of a realist where you got to think about your story. You got to include the characters that you need. So as much as I would love to include past characters such as Hoffman, Amanda, Logan, in this story right here, it just didn't seem right to bring everybody in to fit that narrative. The whole point of your pitch is what is best for this story that you want to tell. And I felt like with these two additional characters of Eleanor Bonneville and Dr. Gordon, I thought that this was the best story I could have told. And so what brought back is I'm watching Spiral and I'm thinking, okay, there's a story and there's a direction you can go. I thought, okay, where can we go in the world of Spiral? What would happen next? What is the next logical step? Zeke knows it's Max Minghella. He's now the killer. Okay, now the whole police force should know. Okay, what would happen in this scenario in real life? Like I say in the pitch, Zeke's been suspended. He's too close. Who's the next guy up top of the line? Well, obviously, it's going to be O'Brien. O'Brien's going to be the top of the line. If you could bring a character in that could give a jump start to a story that come in, I think it'd be Eleanor Bonneville. And that's kind of where, not only am I just a fan of Hannah Lynn Anderson and the character herself, but I think it would make sense. And that's why I want to see her interaction. Of course, she would go to someone like Zeke because Zeke was close to the investigation, and then Zeke knows who the killer is because she got to spend time with him. And so Eleanor's going to work with Zeke and figure, okay, what's his motivation? What was he after? And more importantly, how can both of them stop Max Minghella? It's all legacy.
Like, can you explain a little bit more? Because I'm not entirely sure you delved into it that much, but you alluded to it at the end of your pitch with this budding relationship between, Max Minghella, that you call him Max, or I call him William, but Zeke and Max Minghella's character, whatever his name actually ends up being, what is the relationship between them?
I think, the relationship that you can do with the William character and Zeke, and I think they're kind of alluded to it for future sequels, is, William kind of sees Zeke as like a person that he, respects and wants to work with and stuff like that, and he has to owe him a lot of gratitude because, Zeke did, bring his father's killer to justice in some former way, but the system failed it, and that's why his father killer got to walk back out about 8 or 9 years later, like he said, after doing time. And then William decided, I'm going to go against the cops force. But then he realized, like he said in the movie, like, you're different. You're one of Metro's finest. Like, you're a cop. This is how cops should be. And then he wants to work with them. Like, in his own little deluded mind, they want to work together. And that's kind of what I wanted to do in this movie, where Dr. Gordon sets up a game. In order to get Zeke has to work with William Shank to get another item that Eleanor says that was in the will and get there. So essentially, William gets what he wants. He gets to work with Zeke as his partner again. And then during the whole test, like, in a way, it's kind of like SAW-Tober, where Rig kind of got recruited to do stuff and kill other cops. Zeke and William Shank are forced to work together and do that in this pitch, where it's kind of like the playoff SAW-Tober, like with Rig being recruited to go through tests and set up games. Yeah, and that's kind of what's going on here, because you can see, Zeke and William gets to bond with Zeke, and then if, of course, the catch was if Zeke tries to kill or get out of the thing, then Zeke doesn't get his wife and kid back, which is why I said there in the pitch that they were held hostage. So, but in a way, Zeke and William get to work each other, then William hopes maybe he can talk Zeke into joining him, give him one more chance to be partners, because at the end of the day, that's what William wants. He wants to be partners with a man who helped bring his father to justice and help fix the police force. That's what William wants.
That's one of the things I really like, outside of just Zeke and Eleanor having some screen time together, kind of going back and forth with their different ideologies according to Jigsaw, but just the idea of exploring a little bit more of Max and Zeke's character, their relationship, and how they would work together. There's a part of me from Spiral, and I know it wouldn't have happened because of the way that whole movie played out, but it was kind of in a similar vein to The Last Jedi, at least in my mind, where you have this moment where the bad guy of the film, The Last Jedi, then being, Kylo Ren, saying, just join me and we'll do our own thing. Who cares what anybody else thinks? And you just kind of want Rey in that moment to grab his hand and for it to cut to black. At least that's how I felt. And I have a similar feeling about Spiral with Max Michaela's character, just because having Zeke go through those motions, being, I'm tired of this whole department too, the way they've been treating, it's all crooked, all this other stuff, is like, don't fall on your sword, stop being the good guy and decide that this is probably a better way. Cut to black and leave us wondering like how these two are going to work in the future would have been a better send-off than what we got. And I feel like this pitch plays off of it in a really interesting way, where we get at least a little bit of that without compromising the ending of the original film and, or either of the characters. Guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Hope everyone will come back tomorrow for more discussions on SAW-Tober. Guys, I hope everyone's doing fantastic. It's been real.